So let's talk about EMG testing, because the most important thing is that you need to have the proper education so you understand exactly what's going on. Now, one of the most important things that a technologist or a physician has to do is to be able to communicate this test effectively. So the most important thing you have to know is that an EMG is a nerve and muscle examination. The nerve examination is done by using electrical impulses on the arms and legs, and then the EMG, the needle part, is done by using a needle electrode penetrates the muscle, and it records the electrical activity of that muscle. Now, if everything is done accordingly and properly, and the physician has a good technique, technologist has a good technique, there shouldn't be a problem. The notion that these tests are painful is because maybe these clinicians have bad training and bad communication. Bad communication, that's a bad sign instantly, because if a specialist can't explain exactly their procedure, then I just wouldn't have that test with that individual. I have to be convinced, and I have to understand why I'm having this test and what's going to be the benefits. But the most important thing is to be able to understand your chief complaints as far as what's going on with you, what's bothering you. And then after that, after your chief complaints, a good doctor will examine you thoroughly and then establish a good clinical diagnosis. Okay, and then the objective of the EMG is not to find out blindly what's going on, it's to be able to document those clinical findings that matches your chief complaints. That's basically about it. So let's talk about the nerve examination, because that's important. That's what the technician or physician or whoever uses electrical impulses to stimulate the nerve and find out if the nerves are compromised or not. Now that, if you're going to have it on the upper extremity, is done on the arms. All the nerves you have from your shoulders to your fingertips originate from the neck. So the neck is like the fuse box of the upper extremities. Everything originates from there. If this goes, then you won't be able to have any movement here. Okay. Another thing that I want you to know is that every muscle you have in your arms, the hands, the forearm, the shoulders, every muscle you have a nerve attached to. If the nerve is damaged, then you're going to have atrophy. That means that the muscle will be depressed. It won't look healthy. So clinically, there's a lot that a doctor can see just by looking at you, looking at your muscles, doing an effective clinical examination, and they can establish nerve damage or radiculopathy. The radiculopathy means that the nerve is pinched at the level of the neck. So when the technician starts with the nerve examination, he should be able to communicate with you that you're not going to feel anything at all. He places some electrodes at the muscles in the hand. Okay, starts with the intensity at 0, not low, but at 0, and basically tells you that he's going to increase the intensity slightly. And then when he does, all he's going to do past that is use the exact amount of intensity that your body structure needs for the nerves to react. Okay, it's not going to be too much, and it shouldn't be too little. It's exactly what you need for the nerves to react. Now there's ways where you can start in different protocols in the hand where you can make things a little bit easier. There's some patients who are electrically sensitive, so you want to start really slow and with the intensity low. Right, and then different placements too. There's some placements where you are going to use more intensity. As far as, let's just say in the upper arm, you are going to use a little bit more intensity because you're going to have a more of a reflex. So you want to start always at the wrist. Motor nerves require a little bit of more intensity. Every muscle you have in your body, you have a motor nerve attached to it. The sensory nerves, those need less intensity. Sensory nerves are attached to the skin, so they use less intensity. So a technician, if the patient's electrically sensitive, they should start with the sensory nerve. They require less intensity. Okay, and then you work your way up to your motor nerve. In other words, if a technologist has a good communication, good training, good procedure, and takes the patient into consideration, because there are patients who are electrically sensitive, then he could bypass that. Now, every now and then you might get a patient that's electrically sensitive and you can't do the test. They suffer from anxiety, they have psychological issues, and they admit that maybe the test is not painful, but they just do not like the way it feels. Well, you know what? Then you can do that maybe some other time. Or maybe they adjust instantly. Some patients, they're electrically sensitive, but then they adjust automatically. And then you kind of just work with them. But they should not walk out of the room saying, oh my God, this test is painful. Especially when it comes to the nerve examination. That shouldn't be the case. So if you go to the right place you shouldn't have a problem. Technologists should be able to understand that the patient's chief complaints, should be able to read the clinical diagnosis as far as exactly what the doctor found in his clinical examination. If there's MRIs or ultrasound study, the technologist should be able to see that and then communicate with the patient effectively and put the patient at ease. But like I said, that part should not be a problem. Let's discuss the EMG when it comes to needle examination. So needle examination, like I said, is going to study the electrical activity of that muscle. I like when my physicians, when I work with, they start with the muscles of the shoulder here. Okay, so it's good to start with the traps muscle. The traps muscle, you have nerve roots of C3, C4. Okay, we're going to get back into the roots of the spine in a second. Okay, when we discuss the neck. So you start at C3, 4. You take a needle and you start it into the traps muscle here. Now, the trapezius muscle, it's a big muscle, bigger than my hand. Okay, it's a solid muscle. You stick a needle in there, and you know how many times I've taken a needle and I've inserted it into that muscle, and I studied the electrical activity of that muscle. And the way you study the electrical activity is that you stick a needle in there, and at rest, when you're resting, then the muscle should be at rest. You'll be able to see the lines on the computer in the EMG machine, nice and relaxed. When you make a muscle, okay, then you'll be able to see the electrical activity of that muscle, and you'll be able to study the latency of the muscle, which is the timing, the amplitude of the muscle, the wave formation of the muscle, and you'll be able to see if there's any issues when it comes to the muscle. But the way you see issues when it comes to the muscle, you can see it visibly, you can see it clinically, you can feel it, you can know the range of motion of that muscle. Clinically, the purpose of that needle is to document those findings further that you already know that the patient might have, based on the clinical examination and based on the chief complaints. But if there's stiffness here, if there's swelling there, okay, if there's limited range of motion coming from this area, guess what? You stick a needle in there and you're going to see all that spontaneous abnormal electrical activity because there's something going on in that muscle. Then you'll be able to measure at what levels what's going on. Okay, same thing when it comes to the deltoid. Deltoid is another simple deltoid muscle is another simple muscle to study. You can study the electrical activity, painless. You could study the electrical activity of the triceps muscle, painless. The bicep is in my experience, is the most sensitive when it comes to the proximal extremity. So what I advise them to do, don't go right into the belly because the belly could be a little sensitive. Just go a little bit of the side of the belly, just make sure that the patient relaxes. But you only do that is when the patient has maybe pain and you see the clinical examination show that there's limited range of motion and the patient has complaint in the inner part of that muscle here. But if there's no problem, then you don't need to stick a needle in there. You bypass that. But you study at least the main three, at least to get a clear picture. When it comes to the C-spine, which is the neck, the cervical spine, right? You have about 8 divisions. You have C1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then C8T1 is pretty much together, right? So at the level of C1, C2, those are nerve roots that more central, more to the brain, right? So nothing's going to happen there. Usually the roots that get compromised it's more when it comes to the middle of the neck, C3, C4, C4, C5, C5, C6, C6, C7 are the main ones they get compromised. So when you study these nerve roots, you also have to study some complementing nerve roots on the shoulder. So I say C3, C4, you got C3, C4 on the upper side here, okay? You got C5, C6, you got C5, C6 at the deltoid here. You got C6, C7, you got C6, C7 at the triceps here. You got another C5, C6 at the biceps, but you do that if it's necessary. Now, when it comes to the neck is going to be a little bit more sensitive than even the bicep. But the objective is to take that needle, right? And so you have a good clinical you have a good clinical examination, good clinical diagnosis. Okay, you understand the patient's chief complaints. If you have an MRI, then you know exactly what's going on, at what level is going on. Let's just say the patient has spasms or a bulging disc or herniated disc. You take that needle and you already know exactly what you need to do. You're not going to find anything new. You're just going to document exactly what's going on. So you take the needle, you insert it into the neck, right into the muscle of the neck precisely, a little bit on the side, and you study the electrical activity of what's going on at the level of the muscle of that neck, whether it's C5, C6, or C3, C4. But you don't have to go in that deep. So I'm touching my neck now, soft. I got good range of motion. If I stick a needle in there, and if I relax, the muscles are going to be relaxed. If I have an accident, if I get hit and I have swelling, spasm, and it's tight, I stick a needle in there, then you're going to see abnormal spontaneous activity. So it all comes down to technique, the doctor's expertise, the clinical examination, the chief complaint, and what he's able to see. Okay, so the test should not be that painful when it comes to the neck and when it comes to the muscles that I discussed. Now you have some other muscles in the forearm, okay, outer part, inner part, they should be fine. The painful part is that when a doctor stick a needle into the APB muscle, into the ADQ muscle. Completely unnecessary because the nerve examination is a test of choice. The purpose of the EMG is to find out what's going on in the proximal extremities. The purpose of the nerve examination is to find out what's going on in the distal extremities. So the technician finds out what's going on from the upper elbow to the wrist and to the fingers. That's the purpose of the nerve examination. The purpose of the EMG is to find out what's going on from the upper elbow to the neck. Together you get a complete picture of what's going on in the upper extremities. Okay, from the neck all the way to your fingers. You do not have to stick a needle in there. If a doctor sticks a needle in there, it's completely unnecessary. They're not going to find anything that you cannot see clinically. And the nerve examination will be able to find out everything, because the nerve examination, that the needle that he wants to stick, the technician already has electrodes already attached to these two muscles, and they're finding out information as far as what's going on with their two muscles. So if it's normal, they don't need to stick a needle in there. Even when it's abnormal, they don't need to stick a needle in there. Now, if you want to do further investigation as far as what's going on there, then you get an MRI. You could do an ultrasound of the hand. Ultrasound of the hand will be able to see your nerves and your muscles and your tendons and your ligaments and bone structure. And it's smooth, because all you're going to feel is cold gel. That's it. So the reason why this test could be painful is because the technician and the physician has a bad technique. The technician, using the electrical impulses, uses high intensity. That could be extremely painful. Okay. And the physician, maybe he just has a bad technique using the needles, and that could be a little bit painful. But if he does the muscles that I'm telling you about, it should be fine. The most painful that I get comments on my YouTube channel is these muscles of the hand. Also the muscles of the foot. They don't have to do the muscles of the foot, because the nerve examination, that's the purpose of it. When you do a nerve examination, you're getting key information when it comes to the knee all the way down to the foot. You're getting key information as far as what's going on with the distal extremities. Now, likewise too, just so you know, all the nerves you have from your hips all the way to your toes originates from the lower back. So when the nerve examination is conducted, you get a lot of information what's going on as far as what's going on with the lower extremities. See, the doctors, the physician knows when he does the EMG, if he does the thigh muscles, if he does muscles below the knee, like the calf muscle, okay, you should be fine. And when he goes to the lower back, it's the same principle. You can feel the lower back. You can see the lower back. You can study the range of motion of the lower back. You hear the patients complaining as far as his chief complaints of the lower back. You got the clinical history of the lower back. You can have an MRI of the lower back. All that paints a complete picture as far as what's going on. You don't need to take a needle and think that you're going to find new information. And back in the 1940s, 1950s, and 1960s, and 70s, and 80s, what do you think? People didn't suffer from lower back pain? Of course they did. It was just the clinical examination that had pinpoint precision as far as what's going on. Now we have some fancy equipment. We have good technology that we can see a little bit more, but it doesn't mean that it has to be painful. So I've been doing these tests ever since 1993. And I never associated these exams by it being painful, because it was. What do you think that I'm going to learn? How do you think that I learned? Well, I learned by doing it to other technicians, and technicians doing it to me. I learned by doing it to myself. I don't think that I could do something that's extremely painful. I don't think that I could stick a needle in there. You know what I think that I can't do? I can't stick a needle and withdraw my blood. That is extremely disgusting and painful. I cannot do that. Okay? I don't think that I could pull out a tooth. That's painful. But to stick a needle and study the electrical activity of the muscle, that's painless. I'm not going to do it on my hand. No way. That's painful. Painful here. Painful here. Not so painful here, but it's still painful and completely unnecessary because the technology could stick a surface electrode there and study study the nerve using this muscle. This is called the FDI muscle. So it's important for you as a patient. The reason I'm releasing this video is for you to understand exactly what's going on, exactly your chief complaints. And now the truth of the matter is that you have more information than you have ever had in the past. You know, I was reading something a few weeks ago, right, on finance. I love finance. And they say that we have more information now than hedge funds managers had back in the 1990s. Can you imagine that? So the same thing when it comes to medicine. We have more information now than ever before. You can go to YouTube, right? Now you have what? Artificial intelligence. You have OpenAI. You have ChatGPT. If you don't have ChatGPT, download the app and you can ask the OpenAI questions as far as what's going on with your clinical health, what's going on with your chief complaints. You have also Gemini. Those are the two key apps that you should have when it comes to AI. You have Gemini. You could ask Gemini, what does this mean? I have neck pain. What can I have? What can I do? Okay. If you ask OpenAI or Gemini as far as the necessity of sticking a needle into these muscles here, they're going to be like, well, the nerve examination is the test of choice, not the needle. But anyway, guys, I hope this video has been extremely helpful. We are going to come out with more videos. And the reason that we haven't came out videos in the last couple of months is because we've been working in a professional nerve conduction study course that we've been trying to finalize. I think that the base foundation of it has been finally finalized, and we're going to release it pretty soon. And then what we're going to do is we're going to be adding modules after module after module, and it's going to be an infinite course because we're never going to stop creating content. So the students, they buy this course. They're not buying a course. They're going to become members of an educational platform when it comes to electrodiagnostic medicine. We're going to start with nerve examinations to make sure that these technicians become a professional nerve conduction study tech, and then we're going to move forward to EMG technology and ultrasound and so many other technologies that we're going to include in this platform. So with that being said, if you have any questions, feel free to write in the comments below, and hopefully now you can go better educated to a doctor's office when you're going to have an EMG test, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.